why is health, and how does that really fit into my business? How does having the best health ever really fit into your business? Well, there was a day that years ago that I was a police officer. I was in good shape. I went to the gym 5, 6, 7 days of the week. And I wanted to make sure that I stayed healthy enough so that way, if I had to be in a confrontation with someone that was of a criminal nature at that time, that I would make sure that I was healthy enough to deal with them. Well, as my career started winding down and I stopped going after as many bad guys as I could when I was in my younger days, I got lazier. I got slowed up. I didn't have that motivation to keep me going and to stay in that same shape as I did 25 years earlier. And then all of a sudden, one day I stopped. I just stopped working out. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped everything. And I sat down and I sat around and I became unhealthy. And becoming unhealthy, and I'm talking about for me having diabetes, but to become unhealthy, I had to start looking at what would it take for me to get back in shape. That's always a question that you need to ask for yourself in business and in your own life. What do you do to get back into that mental state? So many times we look at our muscles and what have you, but the mental state you have to have has to rise above what your physical state is. And I'll tell you why I said that. Because once I got lazy, once I started slowing down and not working out like I should, I challenged myself to get up off of a couch one day. Something so simple, anybody could get up off of a couch. Well, I got up off a couch and I said, I'm going to walk down to a mailbox, which was down the street from where I live. And as I was sitting down the street from what that actually looked like, I had to tell myself at that point in time, how I wonder how far is that mailbox away from my house? So I I did something silly. I decided to do my little smartwatch. I said, let me track the steps. I tracked those steps all the way to the mailbox. There were a simple 377 steps. Now, for some people, that sounds like nothing. For others, it's like, ooh, well, I don't know if I can do that because it's actually about a block walking to the end of the block, right? So now I have to make a determination what will be next. I walked down the street. I found out at the end of it, I was so tired. And it didn't make sense to me that I was always in shape, but I stopped and I had to change what that looked like. So as I changed that story, as I started working on my mindset, I knew that I had to go back home because anything you start, you have to complete or you should complete because that's a part of the persistence. That was my journey to what I wanted to look like, what persistence would be. And then after a while, I decided that 377 steps wasn't enough. I wanted to walk out. I wanted to walk further. And said I was going to do a mile. I was determined to get that mile, but every step of that mile meant I had one more step to do. I completed that mile. And as I was doing that, I decided that every day that I could, I would go just a little bit further. Persistence was the key to my success. I had to make sure that I can do this on and on and on until I was able to walk 10 miles a day. And I did that for 4.5 years so far that I've managed to walk 10 miles a day. Now, it's not easy. I don't hear you, Dr. So.
My apologies. My apologies.
There you go.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You went from not being able to walk 300 and some odd steps to your mailbox to
Mm-hmm.
walking 10 miles a day, but for 4 years. That's incredible.
Yes.
Like some people do it for 4 hours, 4 days, 4 weeks, 4 months, and they're done. They quit. That's incredible.
Yeah. And that's a problem with a lot of us because we don't really realize our own strength, but your strength is truly your mental strength. And as we look at what our mental strength is and how to use it, I read this funny book called Think and Grow Rich. And I have known that a lot of people have seen this book, and there's a fair amount of people who've actually read the book. But we'll say most of the people who read the book, Think and Grow Rich, have not, and I repeat, have not read past the first two chapters of the book. They really look at the book and say, and they wonder why they haven't succeeded in their goals in life, especially their financial goals or any goals, because the book of Think and Grow Rich actually gives more tips and clues on how to work on your persistence. They even have a story about persistence. And as you look at that story, as you really start looking at what would it take. So once I started reading the book, I learned something really special that's inside of that book. If you read that book from forward to back and forward, left and right, in and out, you will gain what you have been looking for. Every multimillionaire, every billionaire